Hey, welcome to the channel. Today's video is my take on Ilysia, both the good and the bad. If you're not familiar with Ilysia, it is a VR MMO similar to current titles that are already out like Zenith, Orbis Reborn, uh, Township Tale. Technically not an MMO, but it is kind of fit in that category. And if I'm honest, it's actually currently one of my most played games at the moment. But getting back to Ilysia, you might find yourself asking questions like, is the game any good? Is it worth buying? Hopefully we will actually get through those questions and, kind of give you a better understanding of where the game's sitting and honestly if it is something to look forward to. So as you can see here, this is the general UI of the character creation. It's basic at the moment. There is more there is more races going to be put into the game as far as I'm aware. It's pretty simple to use. It's not overcomplicated. There's enough of changing characters and options to kind of really get the character how you want it to look. Simple to use. As you can see, it's just click, pick what you want. It's pretty much perfect for this kind of game. You don't want to spend too much time in character creation. You kind of want to just get it all done, get into the world. But yeah, so let's just put my name in there, just getting that all sorted, and then taking the first steps into the world. And here's the first steps into the world. Skipped over the tutorial mostly because it's a little bit slow. I really just wanted to, jump into the world, get a good look at everything, start a few quests, have just a generally, overview of how it all goes. So my first positive things about the game definitely has to be about the world itself. The art style for one, I love the art style. Kind of has a real, World of Warcraft kind of feel, but also just general design, the way everything looks, everything's generally well put together as a whole. There is a few things I don't like. I'll get into that in a moment, but I mean just the general, like I say, the art, the way it's built, how it works, the traveling around, it all just feels really good. There is a lot more to come into that though, especially the traveling. But so far, like I say, right now, early stages, still in development. I really can't do much fault in the actual world itself. Now, getting back to the design of it, there's a few things I didn't like. There's a few places you get stuck, but again, that mostly is down to the fact that it's just in development. I would like to see a bit more variety in buildings. There seems to be a lot of copy and paste, and a lot of the towns are very much how best to describe it would be kind of like a mobile game. Just a few buildings dotted around, and then your NPCs just lined up the talkings. It doesn't really feel natural, I suppose is the best way to put it. But I mean that's it's a minor thing. Again, I'm sure that will probably change as it's getting developed more, and the more feedback the development studio gets. But overall, it feels great, looks great. Second is the UI. As you saw just before, you put your hand above your face, and it kind of brings up the compass and where your quest markers are. It all fits really well. You can visually see it pretty well. It's not cluttered, at least not unless you have a lot of quests in one go, which then it can be a bit cluttered. Uh, at the moment, quests are very basic. Run here, do this. There's not a lot of story to them. There's no crafting or anything. But again, that's not in the beta right now. But they all work pretty well. When it comes to the UI, such as the backpack, obviously for storage, and the putting items on your character, it all works how you'd expect it to. It's very simple, very, very intuitive. I would like to see more physical items other than the little panels, but again, that's a personal preference. Now, there was obviously a few glitches, such as boot. Didn't have a boot. Normally it actually cuts off your leg, but again, that's just one of those things that was getting developed. So overall, the UI pretty positive, very simplistic. It works well, fits well, art style all matches up. There's no kind of janky, random mismatch things that just don't look like they fit very well. Coming back to the quests again, no, I know it's early days, but I would have liked to have seen just a bit more story behind it. I'm not averse to fetch and carry quests, but a bit of story really sells a quest for me. What really sets Ilysia aside from the other games I mentioned is the freedom. In the fighting, the skills, it's all your choice. You can do whatever you want, whenever you want. There's no class-based, locked-in stuff, which I really love that. That kind of reminds me of RuneScape, and it's something that I was really looking forward to. It's what sold the game for me. On top of that, you've got the exploration, the bossing, the skills, the mounts. The mounts are a big thing for me, especially a lot of the Kickstarter backers are getting dragons that apparently you can fly with, and that is amazing. And now we get into combat. Overall, it works well enough. The archery is probably the best out of them all. It's kind of one of those things. It's hard to really mess up in VR with archery. I didn't like the cooldown. That's something that was added after alpha, and it frustrated me. If you see down there, the left is a township tail, the right is Orbis, just showing off, if you want to shoot fast, you can shoot fast. I think that's something that's one of, if you build that skill, you should be able to use that skill. You shouldn't be cooled down for that. I also do think the way you use power-ups in Orbis, which is like say this one I'm using here, it just seems to work better in my opinion. But I can't really complain because it worked well enough. A few of the runes I tried to use in Ilysia didn't work for the archery, but that also could have been me just doing something wrong. They were in the book, they showed me the skills that I had unlocked, but there was 2 of them that didn't show you how to use those skills, so I could have just been missing something. But, I had some issues. Like I say, the cooldown especially was a big one. I really could not abide the cooldown. But overall, as far as archery goes, I'd say a good 6 out of 10. It seems fair. It wasn't amazing, but at the same time, I've used much worse. Now onto the magic. Works as you expect. You draw a rune, you cast a spell, that's pretty much it. It works the way you would expect it to. It hits the way it should hit. I would like to see a few more animations, possibly. If you look at games like Orbis especially, I think they do magic really well. As you can see here, you cast the runes in a very similar way. I do think they have a better look to the magic, but again, Ilysia is in beta, so I understand that it's currently being worked on. But as you can see in the window just down here, I cast the spell and then I use my wand or hand, depending on how you have it set, to then manipulate the magic, which I do think is something that it gives you that feeling of really being in control of the magic you're using, and it really adds that extra level to me at least. But I mean, like I say, it works. It's not really a downside. It's just something that personally I think would add another level of depth to the game, and I think it just overall make it a more enjoyable experience. But again, like I say, it's not a negative because it works how you would expect it to in just about any other MMO. I just believe after playing Orbis that's a little bit of a better mechanic. But again, that's all about personal choice really. I'd like to take a minute to obviously point out that even though you're seeing me just kill mostly these rats and a few of the smaller things, there is actually a lot more in the game, and I did actually fight them. but as I was editing, the video was getting way too long, so I did cut out a lot of those. Yeah, so that's kind of, this is just mostly around the starting area. There is a lot more to it than this. And here's the part I didn't like. Swords. VR swords, they should go hand in hand, shouldn't they? Why not? Of course they would. And in any other game, they work amazingly 90% of the time. But right now, in its current state, it just was an unpleasant experience. That's the best way I can put it. It was unpleasant. Hits didn't register. The animations, the sounds, none of it fit well. None of it really worked. I felt like I was hitting them over the head with the newspaper because you had to do a slow tap to get a really good registered hit. But I just didn't like it. I'll be honest, I did not like it, and I think that they need to do a lot of work on that. You see in this little corner here, this cutout of Township Tale, where I was doing a little sword fight with my daughter, just for a bit of fun, but it worked so much better. You hit the swords together, there's a clink. Obviously it's physics based in that game, so it feels better. The swords actually deflect. When you hit each other, you've got the vibrations, which is something I wasn't getting in Ilysia. Did not work well in my opinion, but again, that's something that I'm sure will get better with time. Unfortunately, that's all I have at this point, but I really do hope that this will help give you an idea of where the game is currently, maybe a little insight on where the game's going. Overall, it's positive. The real things I wanted to test out, the skills, the mounts, they're just not ready yet. They're not in the game, unfortunately. So if you liked the video, please consider leaving a like and subscribe. Hit the notification so you don't miss any future videos. When the game is out, I will be streaming and I'll be sending out more videos. So stay tuned. Bye.
Oh!